Hi everyone, it's Christina back for a little catch up and a bit of Snippet Saturday and a new project. And I thought I would, first off, I thought I'd do a little catch up for this. So this is my little stitches book, and I realised what I was doing with this was just making stuff up, as in I know the different stitches, but I was making patterns and designs. So it's a bit of a playbook, a creative playbook. And I think I got up to here when I was explaining, and this is the last one I've done, which I've used this eyelash trim from Joannette, a gift from Joannette, and I've made it sort of a bit like a dream catcher. So it's very fluffy. And of course I'd gone through before what I'd done with the weaving stitch and just straight stitch to hold that down and a Y stitch. So that's that one. And now I've decided to jump in on a challenge that Felicia from Mouse Potato Designs is doing. And here it is. So this challenge is #stitch wheel. And Cathy, you can look her up on YouTube, is doing it. Or she's actually finished it. But Felicia has jumped onto it and I've jumped onto it. So Cathy's got a link. If you go to the very first one, there's a link on her YouTube of the design she's done. So it's a wheel, and we're going to fill in each one with different stitches. And as compared to my creative book of multiple stitches making up lovely patterns and designs and just basically mucking around, this one's going to be dedicated to a different stitch for each one. Now obviously in the middle we're starting with a French knot, so there's going to be a couple of stitches at the start that I've probably already done a few of and enjoyed, but there were some stitches out here like grass leaf and stuff like that that I haven't done before, so I'm looking forward to that. So, alright, I got this hoop from my friend from out of her grandma's stash. Now, I think Felicia's using a 10-inch hoop and Cathy used a 10-inch hoop, but these are 12 inches, so it's going to be bigger. And I have put the pattern on. So I've blown mine up a bit, so I had to kind of make it up a bit because I didn't get all of it on the photocopier on A4, so it's a bit bigger. And leave that there for a minute. So what I've done is used, this is called Friction, and it's a gel pen that lets you remove by friction. Now I was just mucking up the centre a little bit, so I have rubbed that back. And this is a linen. Or no, actually this is a hemp. So the little, it's not really obvious cross-stitching material with the holes, because the holes can be a bit all over the place. But I figured because it's embroidery and often a thicker thread, it'll be fine. Right, so I got to this point where I've rubbed this out a few times and I was going to use this to get it right, but I realised that I've done it once or twice and I couldn't get the correct measurement for the circle. So 8, so we want it to be sort of 2. The time I tried to do this, I wasn't getting the centre. That's why. Alright, so it's not really, I think that's why, just I try and sit this down so as it's as centred as possible. I think it's going to have to be close enough. All right. So Cathy said what she had done was used plates and things, so this still looks a bit wibbly wobbly. And of course, once I've done some of the stitches, I can rub off any bits that are sticking out. Now the thing is, Cathy used a so there are other ways. Cathy used a water-based pen and traced hers with a light behind it. I traced mine with a light behind it. I was watching Diana Vingert. Very much worth watching. Oh, of course, that doesn't work. Diana, I think it's one N. Vingert. If I've spelt that wrong, I'll correct it in the description box. Diana has her printed out pattern and she uses a bit of carbon paper underneath and then traces over. So that would have been a good thing to do as well if I'd have had some carbon paper, but I didn't. Alright, so I know that I've delayed starting this a couple of times just simply because Cathy was saying she wraps. Alright, so I haven't got any. I'm just using this as an example. So if this doesn't quite fit and it's a bit bowed and there's gaps, then it's not going to hold this properly straight. And I'm just using, this is not what I'm going to wrap mine with, but I hadn't managed to get to the shop. So basically you just wrap all the way around with just a cotton, and that'll help it to stay on. But I want to just show, because I just want to get it a bit started. So I believe wrapping the bottom one, or even sometimes people wrap the bottom and the top one, will hold it tighter. Because to me this feels a bit way too, you know, it's not taut enough. But I'm actually happy to just do it without a circle. But I just wanted to get it started. So Cathy was using autumn colours, which came up really nicely. I just knew that I wanted to do mine blue. And honestly, I still am not too fussed about the workings on the back of this, because I still don't know what I'll do with it, whether it'll just stay in the hoops, whether I'll frame it a different way. So I'm not really so fussed about the back at the moment. And what Cathy has started, now I'm left-handed, what Cathy started is a split back stitch. Alright, so we're doing the one stitch, and then when we come back up, we're coming between, in the middle of that, no we're not, we're coming up this next one. When we come to do our back stitch, we're coming halfway between. And so the idea is to go all the way around our circle, that way. Now the thing that I noticed with Cathy's was that when she'd finished and she sprayed her water-soluble pencil off, or water-soluble ink, or whatever it was, it just came off so easily. But my experience with it was that it just still left half of the ink there. So I would have to say I possibly got a cheap one. Right, Right, so you get the idea. I'm just going to go round till I've got a circle, splitting that thread as I come back. So that will go all the way and for all of these lines, okay? And because I'm working on this one, need some little magnets. I'll just start my next stitch, which will be another blue. Right, well, I'm clearly not doing snippets just yet, but I'll get there. So I'm using 2 strands of everything. It's looking quite, to me already it's looking quite fine, and knowing that this is not a just easy wash off pen and that it needs friction, I'm starting to... Okay, so the perfectionist in me wants it to be absolutely perfect, and that would be really nice if it was possible. But we all learn these things, and I often say, don't do as I do. So, doesn't want to untangle that last bit. Cut it off when that happens. So I was using a very small, sharp needle for that. And what I want is another few more like that. Oh, here's one. It's got a very little eye, that one. That's not going to work. This one will do. So this middle bit is going to be filled up with French knots. I might do 5s because honestly it's feeling a little bit, oh, you know why, because I've been watching Diana Vingert's work, and she uses 12 strands and it's very beautiful and thick and luscious. So for me, everything's feeling a little bit too fine. I'm still doing 5 ones because I think that they need to be relatively, you know, you need to see them, don't you? So this is what we're doing, and that's the start. And we'll come back and do more during the week, whenever. I think, well, Felicia, I know you were saying you were going to try and do 3 stitches a day and get it done in 30 days, but I'm not quite sure whether I want to have a time frame with mine. I just think I'm just happy to muddle along and just do a bit at a time. So there's that. I've got that started, and now I'll be back for the snippets of Snippet Saturday. All right, I've got Snippet Saturday. There was a whole heap, if anyone watched any of my older videos, it's got a rip, but there was a whole heap of this lying all over the footpath, and I gathered it up, and I got quite, you know, many packs like this, and I thought, well, that's a waste. So I'm going to just make some snippets from this. So I've just opened this and I haven't used it before, and it's actually looking like it's hard as a rock. It is. I don't know what the point of that is. I think it's really old. I've just had it sitting in my cupboard maybe. Hopefully it's really old, because that'd be disappointing if it's not too old. So I decided I was going to do mermaid snippets. That's the theme for today. So I'm just going to start with getting a bit of background happening here. This one is a antique blue, and it's a coloured gesso. So because my stitch wheel is going to be blues, why not keep it in the family? Now I just think I'm going to put a wet wipe there. That's just going to roll up. I'll keep it flat. So this is how I'm going to start it, but obviously I'm not going to keep it all this way. So I've got a couple of the Distress Oxide sprays as well to add in. Ooh. That's a comedy of errors. Clearly I need to tape down this end. Wasn't expecting it to roll up quite that much. Probably won't stay taped down now that it's wet. There we go. Some patterns and textures there, so it's all right because it's the background. Make just a few shorter ones like this. Now I've also got this is a bit of crushed olive, so that was Mermaid Lagoon, because we're making mermaidy things, mermaidy snippet today. Just put a bit of this so it can blend in a bit. Got all these lovely folds in the paper. And I've got a bit of fossilised amber. Sorry about that noise. More on my hands than anywhere else. Oh, but it's such fun, isn't it? Oops. Alright, now I'm going to dry that and come back. Alright, so I'm back and it's next morning. And I'm going to, so I've stuck it down onto my little glass mat. Try and frame here because it was curling up. So the back of this is just, it's like a plastic, almost like a sticky tape, but it's not sticky. So I kind of decided I would just carry on just in this particular section, and I'm going to put on some washi tape I'm going to add on some other elements and I will then sew it. So I'm going to actually just speed it up and put some music to it while I work. Okay, so here's the end result. Now I just wanted to talk about how sometimes your machine can go a bit wobbly and even tear the paper, whether it's because the needle's got a bit too much glue on it, whether it's just not dealing with the material, or whether your bobbin's messing up. That doesn't matter. In this particular instance, as it's a snippet, we can use it to cut for edging. So for instance, this journal is one I made in my 30 days of journal making, and my little gratitude, 30 days of gratitude that I did. Find a page. So I've got a edge here. This could just go along an edge like that as a decoration. This is a brand new art glitter glue, so it's spurting out everywhere a bit faster than it normally would. Okay. What I'm going to do is make a little jar or a tin or a pot or something. I must start working on another one of these, and cut these up ready to go. So that's what I'll be doing with this particular snippet, and they'll just be lovely, having them in a little pot, ready and waiting. That's it for today's Snippet Saturday. A bit more mixed media again. I mean, we're adding material, so it's not necessarily always a material snippet. So I'll see you when I'm back. If not before, it'll be Tuesday for Tag Tuesday. And have a great weekend. Bye for now.